Welcome to Slice of Lime, a podcast by and for Lime Warriors, where we share truth, resilience, and hope, one episode at a time. We are not doctors, and this is not medical advice, just real stories and what's worked for us on our own journeys. This episode is brought to you by Microbalance Health Products. I use their EC3 laundry additive in every wash. Clothes, sheets, even gym gear to rinse away mold, bacteria, and allergens that regular detergent misses. It's gentle, powerful, and a key part of how I keep my environment clean and safe as I heal from mold illness. You can find the laundry additive and more of our favorite products at microbalancehealthproducts.com/SOL. Use code SOL at checkout for 10% off.
Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Slice of Lime. My name is Christen, and I am co-hosting today with Callie. And we are joined with a really awesome company called Mold Dog USA and their co-owners. So we have Lane, we have Molly, and Ken here today with us. And we're super excited because your company is, I feel, pretty unique in the mold space, but well needed. And you know, we're working on this mold series, and we thought, why not bring in a company that has a service, that offers a service that is, you know, everyone that's listening to this can use, and it's highly unique, right? And so we thought, you know, why not bring you on and kind of have you talk through your backstory, how y'all came about starting Mold Dog USA, and then, you know, we'll talk about what you do, what you offer, your dog, all of that. So yes, I just want to kick it off, say thank you, and then, you know, how'd you guys get started? How did this all come about?
I'll let Molly start it.
Okay. Thank you for the introduction. We're stoked to be talking on the podcast with you guys. So thank you for the invite as well. From Ken and I's standpoint, our company origin was rooted from our personal impact by mold. So as you know, we've had a moment in time where we were traveling around the country in a van. And that van became very small for us. And we rented a house in Florida to build out a box truck. And that house unknowingly had loads of toxic mold. And I was symptomatic within the first night of living there. And I didn't realize it at the time what was impacting me, but I just knew that something wasn't quite right. And after having a lengthy conversation with my friend who had just gone through her own personal mold journey, we discovered mold everywhere in the rental. So we got the heck out of the Dodge, found a different rental, continued building out our van or our box truck, and then moved into it. And then several months later, started having those same exact symptoms, but now in our own home that we were living in, and we could not find it for the life of us. We, you know, looked at every plumbing scenario that could have existed and every window location and just kept coming up empty-handed. And we came down to the conclusion of, we know it's in here because I'm only reactive when we're in it, but we need to find it. And after joining a Facebook group, discovered Mold Dogs, and Lane was the handler that we had hired to come to inside our vehicle and locate the mold, which they did. And shortly after that, Ken and I got rid of the mold, remediated it, did a whole small particle clean, moved back into it. And I was symptom-free for the most part while living on the road in and out for that last year and a half. And then that's how our origin story starts between Lane and I. So I was hired on by that company to run all of their social media, and eventually took on their client bookings, you know, sales, things like that, and worked there for about 10 months. And we were just really wanting to make some positive impact and changes in the industry. And, you know, when you're not a business owner, there's only so much that you can say and do. And we were really stoked to implement those changes. So alongside with my husband and Lane in tow, we started our own gig and never looked back. So we have been in operation. We opened our doors March 27th. So it comes from a lot of personal experience, an emotional toll and physical toll that it took on the two of us. That's how we got started in the whole mold dog business. Lane's story is a little different. But we had worked together prior and had a really great working relationship. We knew that we could create a company and be able to respect each other's opinions and grow something meaningful. And here we are today.
Love that. And can I just ask Lane, where did you find the mold that they could not find? Like, where was that mold?
It was under the carpet, actually, from the, AC was like dripping into the cab. Because I guess that particular vehicle like does not have a pre-filter essentially. So it just, I guess, ended up getting clogged, and their mechanic said it was just dripping right into the carpet. And that's like where she was sitting while they're driving every day.
Oh,
So
wow.
It wasn't even in the house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't even in
Portion.
the house. It was from the AC. It was dripping down into the floorboard of where you drive in the cab, and then underneath that has foam and cushion, for comfortability, and that's where the mold was having growth on that foam, and so we had to remove that out completely and remediate that and essentially cut it all out. And
and then we did a whole, because mold is jarring and scarring and so scary. We did an entire small particle clean, like what you're going through right now. We ended up throwing away our dog bed, our curtains, anything porous, because we didn't want to risk it. And then we used CitraSafe to just deep clean the crap out of the box truck before we felt comfortable moving back in. But yeah, luckily it wasn't a fail point in the home itself. It was in the driving cab, which, we're sitting up there driving to a new location every day, every other day. And you're talking 110 square feet. It's so tiny.
Yeah.
It's up there. It's going to further back.
So
and that's all you're breathing in all day, right?
Oh, yeah.
correct.
So what were your symptoms?
So my symptoms are more physical in terms of like a joint pain and a fibromyalgia. So the first day I ever got symptoms, it was in my wrist. And then the following day it was like in my elbow. It's like I had migrated, but the feeling was the same. So it moves around, it jumps around my body. Within a 24 to 48 hour, it could be my thumb. It could be my knuckles will swell up like 3 times the size. I mean, he was cutting rings off my fingers with bolt cutters. And then
Not the wedding ring.
Yeah, I haven't worn a wedding.
Right.
I haven't worn a wedding ring like consistently for the last 3 years because I'm terrified to. Like, I don't want to go into a house or into a building and have be symptomatic and then have to lose my wedding ring. So yeah, it started with severe joint pain. He wasn't able to see it at first, and then it became a very visual thing. Like he could see the active swelling and redness and inflammation. I'd get some weird like veining happening, and then it turned into a lot of like muscle pain as well. So fibromyalgia.
Scary times for sure. Not knowing what's going on, and I mean, just seeing the physical side of pain and just the frustration, and how it just bleeds into the majority of your life. I mean, that's all that she could think about. And, just trying to thank goodness for Lane and, at the time to find that for us and find the culprit, because it did give us answers that were just kind of a cloud looming over our head of confusion. And we were able to remove it, remediate it, and then go about our lives. And thankfully now we aren't living in a moldy environment currently. So,
which is a tough find in Hawaii.
It is tough.
Yeah, I was about to ask about that. So you're feeling a lot better now?
Yes, finally. I would say it's been about probably since May, I've been symptom free, unless I'm going into a knowingly like moldy home or space. But I think I've gotten to my body to a point in the detox process where now I can be around that for a little bit longer and be able to stand it like a normal person and not be immediately symptomatic, because it was a point where like it would be within minutes something would start to happen, and now I feel like I'm getting to a point where I can exist, even though I don't want to, but I can exist a little bit more comfortably. So whenever we got this apartment, we had known that the landlord, the property owner, took it all the way down to the studs. It was a complete rebuild and remodel. And that's the only reason why we felt comfortable leasing it sight unseen, knowing that it had gone through a facelift, a dramatic facelift. And yeah, we got lucky, to say the least.
That makes total sense. And that's good. It's like your toxin bucket has gone down. So now you're more comfortable in spaces that could have some toxins. But I do, before Lane, we jump into your backstory, I do just want to ask the question. Is the story of Molly and Ken similar to what you see in general? I'm just wondering, cars or vans in general, like, do you see a lot of that where, people should be worrying about their AC unit leaking down into some carpet, or that they're inhaling? Like, do we need to worry about the car bombing and the, like, bombing meaning like getting it fixed, remediated? Like, do y'all see a lot of that in your business?
Go ahead, Lane.
So not too much.
No. Okay.
There's a couple models of vehicles that I've kind of noticed a pattern on, but mostly it's, hey, I've been parking my car inside of my garage, and if there's a big issue in the garage, then every time they're starting their car, it's just like sucking that stuff in, that air. Sometimes it's, hey, I left my sunroof open, I don't know. And then other times it's a dead giveaway where they're like, I get in my car and I back out of the driveway, and before I get to the end of my street, like, I'm starting to itch. And so, there's also something to be said for like electric vehicles, because you're driving around like a giant EMF, like, factory. And if you're parking that inside the house and you have a mold issue, then the car's plugged in, you're kind of creating that like high EMF environment, which can fuel mold growth. So yeah, it's interesting what we've come across.
I've actually heard about that just recently, about the electric vehicles and high EMF, but it was like within the last 2 weeks. And I was like, I never thought of that, but it makes total sense.
Yeah, and we found, like, this doesn't have to do with cars, but like, my dog's hit on a kitchen sink, and I've bore scoped it and found just a ton of mold, and it ended up being like on the backside of the kitchen is where their smart meter is for their like electricity for their house. So it's just dumping EMF into that area, and then you can see the difference in growth. It's not just water. It's pretty wild.
So is there something that y'all do to kind of block the EMFs, because mold kind of feeds off of it? Is there something you can do to kind of neutralize the EMF to prevent mold from feeding off of it? I know that's a random question.
Yeah, I'm sure there are. So we like to separate ourselves from, like, we only do assessment and recommendation on like next steps. So, hey, we found mold, we found this issue. I write a report with a bunch of photos, and then I give it to the client, and I sort of recommend, hey, if this were me, I would get an indoor environmental professional to sort of step in between remediation, write your protocol, and then also they're there as an advocate for the client to sort of oversee. And I'm sure, good remediation companies, and there's also people that literally all they do is home performance and safe living spaces. So, there's people out there that deal with that specifically. Like, hey, if you want to, there's EMF blockers for like your router, and just all kinds of different stuff. They make things that like go on the back of your phone, and you can wrap little things around your AirPods that cut off radiation. So there's so many things out there.
Yeah. I was going to say, there's even like bed sheets that are grounding and shoes and things like that. So there's all sorts of devices. I mean, depending on, how much you were trying to limit your exposure to, there's definitely things out there to help aid in that, for sure.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay, so Lane, tell us your backstory. How did you get into this? Before you met Molly and Ken, it sounds like you were already doing the work with the dogs. So yeah, what's your backstory, and how did you get into it?
I came from 13 years in law enforcement. 5 of that was in police canine. So I have, extensive background in that, working a dog on the street. And then when my dog retired, I just went back to regular patrol and was like pretty burnt out from just the normal cop stuff. I missed chasing bad guys through the woods with my dog, and, getting big drug busts and things like that. And I I just was like, I just need something else. I need a change. And then my neighbor sees a local functional medicine doctor to me. They had sent out an email saying they were looking for a mold dog handler, and she sent it to my wife, and I never even heard of that. I was like, mold? I don't even know, never crossed my mind, never heard of it. Very interesting though. And I've always been in the line of, I want to help people somehow. So I basically just went from helping people in law enforcement and sort of like all aspects of what is typically like the worst in life to, another aspect that is even worse to some people when it affects your health.
Yeah.
I interviewed and got hired and went and picked up my dog, and I worked for that company, like she said, pretty much all of 2024. And then we left, and here we are.
So is that dog Cooper?
No. So
Okay.
Cooper, we got in February of this year, and we've been running with him since. And then we also have 2 other dogs currently in training as we're expanding. So.
Oh,
Very
love that.
cool.
So, yeah, very cool. So how do we go about, and when I say we, I mean the 3 of you, go about finding a dog like Cooper? So is it you look for a particular type of dog and then you train them? I was looking at Ironheart, I believe, and then you go to a specific place for training. Like, what is the process of picking a dog, training a dog, and then kind of getting them out in the field and ready to be evaluating homes for mold?
Yeah, so it's not really breed specific as a blanket. I mean, obviously there are breeds that just shine at working. So there's various things that we look for regarding like the dog's drive. So like, how bad do they want their toy? How bad do they want their food? You might see like my golden doodle walking through here. She doesn't care about anything but my doorbell. But if a dog cares about like, Cooper, when I feed him, if he just hears the scoop hit the dog food bag, I mean, he might, I don't know if you've seen the video, he literally will jump like to my head like a kangaroo and just bounce up and down while I'm walking with his food bowl. So highly motivated reward. So it's, hey, you do this, you get this. So yeah, we test them a variety of ways. And Cooper came from Ironheart Working Dogs. We actually have our own in-house personal trainer now, so that's also what kind of separates us from everybody else. And yeah, we use real mold. We do not use any synthetic. We don't use any fake mold. I have somewhat of a microbiology like lab experiment going on in my shop out in the back, and I get mold samples from clients' house and swabs and stuff, and then I transfer that over, and I grow my own with building materials. And so we're always changing it up. We're always striving to like have new mold, and I have wet mold and dry mold, and I've got mold that's so old in a petri dish it's like rolled up on itself like a little taco, and
Oh,
I'll
wow.
hide that somewhere so my dog can find dead mold. And so yeah.
And so the training is always like an ongoing. So if you're not in a house evaluating, let's just say today you're not in a house evaluating, you would be doing this hide and seek kind of let me
Yeah.
hide some, and it doesn't matter what, because aren't there like 200 variations of a mycotoxin or something, right? Like,
There's
so
a
you could be
ton.
hiding Aspergillus, Niger or something over here and hiding another one over there. And then you wait for the dog to find it and then you give them a reward.
Yes.
That's kind of what you do?
So you can see this little big box here. That's actually like a fake wall. So it's got an electrical outlet in it with a little safe. So I can like put mold in that and I can move that around against the wall. The dog thinks that it's a wall. It's got baseboards on it. It's got electrical outlets.
Oh,
So I
wow.
use that. I have fake windowsills that I put in my house that I can hide mold in to target productive areas. But yeah, if he's not working in a house, then we're training. I've got a whole setup in my shop with detail wall and cabinets and you name it.
Wow.
We intentionally Lane only works 4 days a week, and we only have clients scheduled 4 days a week. And this is moving forward for any handler that we hire, because we intentionally want to have 1 day of that work week where it is active training. So if there's things that Lane is experiencing in the field, then we can work through those in a controlled environment and make sure that it doesn't become a problem later down the road. And then Cooper and future dogs also go to maintenance training like once a quarter to half a year. depending, and just making sure that they're always tuned up and on top of their game. Because at the end of the day, we're going into clients' homes blind, other than the assessment that Lane does, which is really in depth. It's very thorough. It's like an hour long before he even brings Cooper into the home. But we're going to the home blind. We want to know that what Cooper is telling us, or any dogs moving forward, is matter of fact. And that's where the handler portion is so critical and so important as well. And we'll touch on that. But we're putting a lot of faith in our canine, and it's an investment on the client's end. So we want to make sure that we're giving them as much accurate information as we possibly can. And so making sure that our dogs are tip top all the time is crucial.
Okay, so this is super interesting. So I'm curious, Callie, I don't know if you're curious about this. So Lane, you do an assessment prior to, so it's an hour-long assessment. So what is the full-on assessment if a
Yeah, I was
customer
about to ask that.
customer calls and they're like, "Hey, I think we have mold. Can y'all come out?" What does the full scope look like with the hour of you, and then is it an hour of Cooper, or you find something and you verify with Cooper, or what does that look like? Yeah.
Yeah. I basically get there. I want to know like as much information as possible. And, some people are like, well, and I totally get it. They're like, I don't want to tell you because I just want to see what the dog finds. And I jokingly, but I'm serious when I say it. I'm like, if you don't want to tell me, that's fine. But if you tell me, I can't walk out to my truck and be like, hey, bro, she said it's in the bathtub, and he's like, got it, So I just we're putting a puzzle together, right? Like I want as many pieces of the puzzle as I have. Like, have you had a roof leak? Have you had water coming in through your patio? Have you had, anything, right? So, and then I go through, they kind of give me a quick walkthrough, a quick tour, and then I come back through. I have several tools. I mean, moisture meter, thermal camera, most of that stuff usually comes back as normal. And that's why the dog is such a valuable tool. But we're a team, and the dog they're literally a tool. They're probably the best tool that's out there. Other than like seeing visible mold and taking a swab sample and sending it to a lab. But I found mold that my dog would not have been able to find, whether it's in an attic and, bathroom vent exhaust is stapled to the wall and the ceiling and it's not vented out of the home, something like that. He's not going to find that. And then he's found way more mold than I would have ever found. So we're a good team, but I get there, I go through, I spend 45 minutes, sometimes an hour, 15. It just kind of depends on how big the house is, what's going on, what the history is. Looking at windows and checking things and what's the thermal look like. And I'm in the attic and I'm in the crawl space. And because I'm also a licensed mold inspector. So,
great.
And then there are some things where I look at it and go, my dog's going to crush that. Like I can just see it. And there's other things it's like, maybe, but there's no need to poke a hole in the wall. We'll just run the dog on it and he'll see. And so then I'll bring him in. Usually his search, it doesn't take him very long. Dogs are very efficient if they're trained properly. If he wasn't a lab and wanted to eat like everything, I would just cut him off his leash and just let him go work. But we work kind of room by room systematically and clear out a lot of spaces. And I'm really good at just reading the dog's behavior. And since I've also done my full inspection, like for instance, if I go into a basement and it's musty and I see some suspicious stuff on the floor and there's just a lot of things going on. And then when I take my dog up and we work the main floor, like if he's hitting on all the AC vents in the floor, now I'm knowing, well, is he hitting on the air conditioning unit or is he getting odor coming up from the basement that's contaminated? So how did he act around the HVAC unit in the basement? He didn't alert on that. Okay, your HVAC's probably good. He's probably getting odor from the basement. So there's a lot of things that I'm putting together while I'm there.
That's
and
fascinating.
when you're saying hitting, you mean he like constantly hits his nose on it or he scratches at it? Like
Does he bark?
What's a hit?
Yeah. So when I call a hit, that means like an alert. So if he'll come up, he'll give me what's called a change in behavior. So a dog will work, and as soon as they recognize that odor, like, their head will kick or his tail will go up or breathing patterns change or something, he'll give me an indication of like, hey, like I know this odor, right? And then if he just kind of sniffs the air conditioning vent, then he'll lay down and point his nose and he'll just stare at it. So that's called a trained final response. So we call it a hit. So if he hits on that, then I'm like, okay, we have an alert. He's alerting to the presence of the odor of mold. You know, is it your HVAC or is it, you know, air coming up from the basement through the floor? So, and again, it's just, what do I see? What does the rest of the house look like? And could be both. So, and I'll note that in my report, and I discuss that with the clients whenever I'm done.
So how old was
That's so
Cooper
cool.
when he started training? Was he a puppy?
No, so well, there's different stages, right? So depending on where you get a dog from, you know, they could be 6 months old or a year old and have never done anything as far as working. For him, you know, he kind of through his puppy years was kind of taught to start hunting for your toy and things like that. So those um, characteristics were sort of built on him throughout his life. And then once he got to the age of sort of like somewhat maturity, the drive was really there. He was really obsessed with his toy. And then it was just, hey, let's just imprint him on the odor of mold and then work him through some environmentals and show him these high productive areas that mold typically grows in. And so he was about a year and little over a year when I got him out of training, and he was in training for about 3 months, 3.5 months.
So you're based in Texas. We actually had a guest on a few weeks ago who's also based in Texas who was struggling with mold and had a lot of assessors come out who said it was fine. They did an air sample test in the middle of the room. It's fine. And then finally she hired her own assessor who poked holes in the walls, and it turns out the mold was behind the walls.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just curious because you're in Texas, and she had high humidity. I think it was like 75-degree humidity in her home all the time. Yeah, really bad. Curious, where do you find, or where does you and Cooper combine, where do you find the most amount of mold in a home? Is it behind the walls? Is it in the HVAC? Is it in the basement? Like what are the heavy hitting places that you guys typically find mold?
HVAC is a huge one. You know, a lot of times I can see that visually, and then he'll also just confirm. Um, or sometimes I can't see, you know, deep into the blower motor or something like that. And then, you know, he starts hitting on like every vent. And then, you know, there's no basement, there's no other factors like it's tile floor or something. Highly unlikely there's mold underneath the tile. So HVAC's a big one. Showers. I mean, like
Showers.
it's, you know, it's a lot of showers. But then again, you know, dogs smelling like parts per million. So their noses are very sensitive. So it's like, is the mold just growing in like the rubber gasket of the door, or is it every time you're opening the door, water's running down and hitting the drywall and then the drywall is soaked? But that's kind of my job to look at that and say, okay, it looks like it. There's no bubbling. It's not wet. The trim looks okay. So it could just be that. But then is there any missing grout, or is a tile cracked? Is, you know, do they know, hey, yeah, a couple years ago we remodeled it? Do you have pictures of that? Yeah, they can show me. Okay, I can see they put in a shower pan. So, and then we can just do a cavity test of the shower. Like, you know, we don't charge a ton for that. We just put a little small hole and suck the air out of the cavity, send it off to a lab and say, okay, yeah, Cooper alerted here. It did come back as mold like in the shower cavity. So pan has failed, or, you know, you just, I've seen insulation inside behind showers, like in the middle of a house. So just poor construction sometimes causes it, but you know, we can double confirm those ways. And if it comes back clean with the test, then again, dog's nose is sensitive. Just clean the shower really well, maybe change the gaskets on your doors. So I'll kind of give some guidance as far as that goes.
Got it. Yeah, I just had well, I had had a roof cave in my top floor to the bottom bathroom connected to bathroom, but then we renovated the downstairs, but I know bad downstairs bathroom. And then recently we found there was the baseboard was coming off, and behind it was mold in the renovated bathroom. So it was like one of those same that you're talking about situations where it's like the water's coming out enough that it affected the bottom area of the renovated shower. So
are y'all having to re-renovate?
Oh, we had to pull off. I had to have someone come out, pull those off, renovate that area, and put a new one back in. Yeah, we had to do that. So, but I think that's kind of similar to what you're talking about. Even though we had a renovated bathroom, 2 years later, we have to re-renovate at least the bottom part of it because mold started growing again. I mean, it's quick to grow. So, okay, so very interesting. So now y'all are talking about expanding. So what does expansion look like? So you're based in Texas. Do you only service the immediate Texas area? Do you service, what does the service look like? And then now that you're expanding with more service dogs, like what is the plan for expansion? I'm in Connecticut. Callie's in Georgia. Like, can someone in Connecticut or Georgia be able to contact,
Go ahead, Ken.
Mold Dog USA and be able to book you?
The more Connecticut, the better. My favorite pizza place is in New Haven. So.
Okay. All right. There we go.
Yes. So as far as like where we service now, we service 47 states, and we'll be opening up in Texas sometime in late December, early January too as well. We don't service Alaska or Hawaii, but as far as like our expansion goes and the 2 dogs that we have that are going through training right now, we're just taking a look at, in general, where most of our lead generation comes from. A lot of that is in the tri-state area. So we're in the greater Philadelphia area, New York, New Jersey, at least once a month, if not twice a month. Where we have been down, we've talked about, maybe putting a dog down in the Atlanta, Georgia area to cover that east coast of the Carolinas all the way down to Florida.
There's
but we
a
also
lot of
do
mold down
have
here.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. With all the storms and even humidity down in the deep south, we totally understand it. But we also do have a lot of leads that do come in from the Midwest, whether that's Ohio, Chicago, Indiana area too as well. So while they're going through training, we do know that we want to put at least one of those dogs in the tri-state area. For the other one, we're just seeing, where it's needed at most right now. But yeah, that's as far as like anybody could have an appointment. Lane and Cooper are centrally located in Dallas-Fort Worth. So for us getting to Portland, Oregon, or for getting, to JFK out in New York City, it's not a problem to us where we're able to go anywhere that a client needs us to see fit. So
I have a lot of air miles.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
I heard JFK. I'm like, that's a lot of air miles.
So is
That's great, though,
Cooper-
that he can travel.
Yeah, is he allowed to sit with you in the main
Yeah.
cabin? Okay.
Yeah, he just sits on my feet.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, we travel all over. I'm in up until, I was going 5 different states 5 days a week for probably 4 months, 5 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then so I'm 4 days now. I have a day of, a little bit of rest. We do some light training and stuff like that, and let Cooper just kind of be a dog for, a day also, like during the week. And, on the weekends, we don't really do much. I'll just go in the backyard and play fetch and, go on a walk or whatever. Just kind of let him be a dog, let him reset for the week too, because it's a lot of work for him. I mean, he thinks it's a game, but, it's still work.
Yeah.
Cooper
And
has a
traveling's
lot
a
of air
lot.
miles too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cooper has a lot of air miles too.
So does he
Our
do
whole
well?
goal.
Does he do well traveling? Is he just
Oh yeah.
solid? Like,
He's the
this is
best.
great. Ready
Yeah,
to go?
he knows, like, we pretty much sit in the same seat every time, and as soon as we hit that aisle, he just like right to the window and he dives under and cleans up all the crumbs from first class from the flight before, and he doesn't get up till it's like he senses when we're like 20 feet off the ground, because he sits right up, our wheels hit down in the airplane, and we get off and get moving.
That's great.
Yeah.
So when
Yeah.
you travel, are you staying at hotels with Cooper or?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah, I am.
very cool.
Yeah.
Our whole goal is to essentially like be as accessible and affordable as we can. So that way, like anyone that calls us, no matter where they're located in the country, we can get to them. The matter is like when, because our schedule does book out, but as long as they can wait, we'll get to them. And then that's also why we're getting more dogs. So that way we can service people quicker and cheaper. But with our pricing, it's all inclusive. It's the same no matter where you live. And we've done a lot of market research on what the average flight cost is, what the average hotel cost is, and rental car. And then we kind of bake that all into one. And as more clients book, the cheaper it goes down in tiers. And then there's like little add-ons depending on the situation. Like if they live in a more remote area of the country, on the website it says, the flight's up to this amount. And if the flights end up being more than that, then we have an airline surcharge. And then if the home is larger than 4,000 square feet, we have a large home surcharge. But other than that, like, we're very transparent on what we charge and what you could pay initially versus at the end of the day.
And transparency is our biggest priority here. I mean, as far as like who we are, what our story is, even our all-inclusive pricing, that's everything that anybody can find on the website. There isn't any request for a quote or anything like that. It's, again, we want to be as affordable and most accessible as possible to all clients in North America. And that's our short-term goals. As far as long-term goals, we'd like to change policy, whether that be with insurance companies or maybe
building practices,
maybe adding a mold inspection, during that mechanical, electrical, plumbing rough before closing up the drywall into a home and moving on to the next stage. We'd love to be on that end of the stick as far as impact goes. But for right now, it's accessibility, transparency, obviously great customer service, and Lane's the customer facing role on that. And per our reviews on Google and, from, law social proof of what clients have shared with their experience, it's been very, very, very great, I could say. Rewarding. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would say with the amount of people, at least that we're meeting or that we're seeing on social media and all that, like mold is, or even more notable people that are talking that they have mold illness and mold exposure and all of that there is that catching on, hopefully more doctors and all that catching on. So to your point, hopefully the insurance process, like hopefully there will be changes in that process one day down the road that y'all can be a part of. That would be fantastic. In terms of present day, if someone goes to your website to book, they could see how far out in advance they can book it, or is that a one-on-one? They talk to you, Molly, because you're customer facing, or it's all kind of through the website and then you contact them after the fact?
So there's two things. We're also very transparent on where we're traveling. So we have our entire travel schedule listed on our website. They can go and see if they're located in a city that we have upcoming. And then we also have like the counter on there. So they know how many clients are currently on the trip, how many spots are left. So they can go to our pricing page and figure out, it's this amount. I already know.
Yeah. If I'm the next client, I bump us down to a next price break bracket also.
Right.
Oh, so
Exactly.
like if Lane isn't flying into JFK, I could see Lane's going to New York. I'm in Connecticut. Let me book onto Lane's trip because he's got a slot open on this day.
Yeah.
And you'll get on the phone with Molly and Ken though, first before you book.
Got it. Got it.
So we have the whole schedule listed, but there's two different forms that we still require clients to fill out if they don't call in, right? You can obviously just call and we'll answer the phone. We have a pop-up form that will flash on the screen when they first land on our website just to try to capture their information. There's a little coupon on there. And then we have a like formal quote form where it gives us just a little bit more detail about them. But we do require a call because, if they live like 2 hours away, maybe it's just better if we start a whole new trip versus trying to add on mileage fees and things like that to drive out there. It could be just a better scenario to do that separately. But then we also want to hear their story. Like we genuinely care about what they're going through and can provide, in most instances, some really helpful advice on, things that they could do now in today's world to help them temporarily until we can get out to them. And just know that they have a compassionate listening ear, because so many people that we talk to, they feel so alone in the journey. And I think that's like what really does it for Ken and I, and why it's so rewarding and fulfilling for us, is being able to be that landing point for them and that landing ear that you're not crazy. What you're experiencing is 100% valid. If it's not the exact situation that we've been through, but we understand it. And we're here to walk through it. And sometimes it's just a therapy session for people.
Yeah, as far as like having the empathetic side, I mean, and I want to be clear with this too, as well as it's not just a typical call of people just calling in and asking for a quote. I mean, this is a vent board for a lot of people. They don't have a lot of people to talk to about it, whether their family can't relate to it or if their significant other isn't symptomatic and they can't relate to it. As far as us having that empathetic side and knowing that this can be financially draining, this can be emotionally draining, I believe that's what is a key ingredient of what separates us, is that we're willing to spend 20, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, sometimes an hour, over an hour on the phone with people just to hear their story. And as Molly said, that they know that there's a compassionate ear on the other end. And that does wonders for people as far as just being able to be heard. And that is what's rewarding, is that we know that what they're going through, and we have a solution for that. And it's the ball's in their court too, as far as, with them wanting to go through the process. But I think initially with us, allowing them to have that space and to share that vulnerability is key. And it's very important too, as well, as far as, having care for the customer. So
I love that. Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah.
people who are very lonely in this mold journey, because a lot of people are
Yeah.
like, oh, it's all in your head, or no, your house is fine. Like that girl we spoke to, I think last week, Christen, where
Yeah.
she had multiple mold inspectors come out and they were like, you're fine. But she really was not fine.
Yeah, you'll be surprised how many houses I go into, even before I bring in the dog, and I kind of point something out to the client. I'm like, "What's this?" And they're like, "I don't know. I've never noticed that." And they're like, "I've had 4 other inspectors out before you, and nobody caught that." But I mean, for me, it's like something very obvious. So it's kind of a joke, but it's like, the standards are so poor in mold inspection now. We're like literally relying on animals
Yeah.
to like carry a lot of the weight. So yeah, it's crazy.
I
And
feel
it's
like
also a sector.
utilizing a dog as a tool is an incredible way to go about it, because their nose is
Oh yeah.
just incredible.
Yep.
far more
Um,
greater than ours,
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
300 times.
And they
Over.
love to work too. If you get a working dog, all they want to do is work. I have
Oh yeah.
two working dogs, and they're depressed when they're not working.
Yeah.
So I always try to keep them busy too. But I think it's really cool what y'all are doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And also I would say a dog is unbiased. I mean, like we said, the
Yeah.
woman we talked to, uh the builder was the one that sent in the mold inspectors. And so the builder
Of
hired
course.
the inspectors, and the inspectors are the ones that said there was no
Yep.
mold.
I just went
And
through that
so
last week.
Oh,
with a
Okay.
wow.
client. Yep.
You did.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, right. So I don't know if you see a lot of that, but it's kind
Mhm.
of, there's also some biasy depending on who's paying and what they maybe want to find or don't want to find. And I'm not trying to claim anything on anybody and what they're doing in
Sure.
terms of practices, but that was her experience. And so you're saying you've had a similar situation. So it's just unfortunate that people are being paid to come into a home and then saying there's nothing there, but then you go in and you find some obvious solutions with Cooper, and you're like, well,
Yeah.
I know this guy said, or woman, this gentleman or woman said they didn't find anything, but there's a lot here,
Yeah.
and you actually need to remediate immediately,
Yeah, and this one was like, they have one of those like pedestal bathroom sinks that, just comes up from the floor and it opens with a bowl. And they're like, the valve was like leaking into the wall. And so, they're renting, so the tenant sent a mold inspector out, and the guy cut a hole in the sheetrock like literally this big, up above the valve, and was like, "No, there's nothing there." And I'm like, "Okay." And before Cooper even got into the bathroom, I could see change in behavior. He just rips in there right under the sink and just lays down right in front of the baseboard and locks up.
Oh,
And they're
wow.
like, "I
Wild.
knew it." So
That is wild.
yeah, I see
That's
it all the time.
That's another thing too, as far as, Lane, has, stated that, often at times, they may have 2 or 3, maybe 4 different opinions or inspectors in there. And we're
Yeah.
not in the business to have as many jobs in a day or to go in and out. I mean, Lane does spend 2 to sometimes 2.5 hours into a home. And we only max out the dog, Cooper, for 3 jobs a day. So as far as like spending time in there, taking notes for imperative detail to get them the answers that they need. We're not just going into a home and looking around and, oh, time to get to the next job.
Yeah.
He spends quality time there as far as doing a visual inspection, with him being a certified mold assessment technician, but then also having that baseline before even bringing Cooper in is super imperative to get people the answers that they want.
Yeah, Lane is like, we don't put Cooper or any dogs in the attic or crawl space, just out of safety concern. So Lane is physically crawling around in people's attics. They got insulation flying everywhere. Not to mention there's probably mold up there. He's underneath people's homes, like on his hands and knees, army crawling around, trying to get a visual on like what could be happening if there's leaks or anything like that in the crawl space. And then he goes back inside the house and does the entire inspection. Like, we're trying to get as many eyes and nose and as many cavities and corners and nooks and crannies of the home as we can while we're there on site. And then his tools are just an additional aid and a little bit more picture painting that we can try to provide for the client.
I love
Well,
that.
I think that I do too. And I think it's amazing that y'all are so customer focused. I don't know if you see that as much nowadays. It's like such a customer oriented and customer focused company, and that you really want to get to the root of what's going on, and you really want to help people, and you really want to help them for their health. Because what is that quote or that saying? Like, you can have 1,000 problems, but when it comes to your health, you really only have one.
Sure.
And so I think it's amazing that y'all are so focused on the customer or the client. You want to make sure that you get to the root of their issue, because if they have a gut feeling something's wrong, there probably is something wrong.
Yeah, I agree.
So
And it doesn't matter what industry you're in. I mean, if you're wanting to help people, I mean, just hearing one phone call from one of our clients, how can you not be helpful when you hear the tone of their voice,
The
the
desperation.
desperation of, I don't know where to go, or no one wants to listen to me.
I've been living in a tent.
It's up to you. Have a chance. You have a chance to, and your character will show. You have a chance to be that providing source for them and to be that ear. And if not, then they're just left confused, and that's another customer that you didn't help or you didn't spend the time with. And we want to make sure that whether the phone call takes 20 minutes or an hour, we want to make sure that we set the correct expectation, that they are heard, and also prepare Lane and Cooper, for before they go into that home too, as well, with as much details as possible.
Yeah, it's funny. I've had a couple phone calls where they're like, "Oh, thank you so much. It's already been an hour. I can't believe it. Like, I really appreciate your time." And I was like, "Look, even if you don't book an appointment with us, if all this ever was just like a therapy appointment for you, then I'm glad I can provide that safe space for you. And so be it. But just know that we're also here on the other side to be able to help you further if you do need that and are ready to move forward." And yeah, I mean, that's what we're here for, is ultimately just helping people. I mean, nonprofits are totally in our future. We don't know exactly what space that'll be, but there's a couple that we want to start. We have a couple ideas generating, just ways to give back as much as we can, because Lane hit it on the head. All mold does is take, right? Like, it takes emotionally, it takes financially, it takes physically. And there's no insurance company, health or homeowners insurance, that gives back. Health insurance doesn't, like, most doctors don't believe in mold. You have to go functional or naturopath,
Holistic.
and that's additional money because they don't take insurance. And then it's when it comes to homeowners insurance, unless there's like an active leak that's caused by something in the home, they're not going to and that mold is caused by that active leak, they're not going to fix it or pay for it. And if they do, it's like $2,000. It's a joke.
And this is to an extreme too, and this is not every single client, but I mean, I've personally heard horror stories of them spending. This will be our third time remediating this. We've already spent over $300,000.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, on and it's, what do you, what it's
a
just
lot of money.
how can you not give these or help get these people get answers, at least so they can be on the correct trajectory, whether that's for detoxification for their illness or getting their home in a healthy environment, not only for themselves, but for their family, XYZ. So it's important. So
what I love about Cooper and what you're doing with him, Lane, is that you're going room by room and clearing each room, because I've had mold inspectors come and they'll only go to the bathroom, or they'll only go to the HVAC or to the basement.
Only the wet areas.
Yeah, only certain areas. And they can, like, they'll tell me I could be here all day. They're like going at it blind almost. Like, if there's nothing visually there, even if I'm feeling symptoms. But what's so cool about Cooper is that he can kind of see it with how good his smell is. Like, he can see it through the wall, and you're clearing every single room. So you're giving your clients very peace of mind that they know exactly where their mold is in their house. So that's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, it's awesome. Dogs are incredible.
I also do want to know, not only that Lane takes time in each room, and clears it out. But we do stay, outside of crawl spaces and taking the dog up into the attic, searching everything under the roof line. But it's on the property lines too. If you want your daily vehicles searched, if you have an RV or a camper, or as long as like a storage shed, as long as it's like climate controlled, we'll search out those areas too at no additional charge. So just want
Love that.
Very cool.
Yeah. Well, so I just want to say, I feel like y'all at Mold Dog USA are doing a fantastic job from the client service side. Yes. To searching the homes room by room with Cooper, and the fact that y'all are expanding, and the fact that you want to expand. We'll see future nonprofit. You'll have to come back and tell us all about it. And we'll share with all the listeners. So it sounds like y'all have a really great even future plan ahead, 10-year plan, a great 10-year plan ahead. And so we're so happy that we had y'all on here and you were able to share and, really connect hopefully with our listeners, and that people are able to book through you. And now we know we can get you even up to Connecticut. So love that. And
he needs his pizza.
I do
need
his
pizza.
Yeah.
So everybody,
we do have a trip coming up.
Okay, all right. So everyone up here in the Northeast, please make sure you book Mold Dog USA and the Southeast by Callie.
Atlanta.
But anyway. Yeah. So if our listeners can find y'all, can you just give, where do you want them to go? Website, social media? Can you give all of your contact info so we can get that out to everybody that is listening to this podcast? Yeah.
So website is www.molddogusa.com. And on there, you can find every piece of information about us under the sun that you want. Pricing, where we're going, a little bit about us, Cooper, everything. We have a bunch of FAQ videos that explain like the imperfections that could happen with a mold dog, and what an appointment looks like. Social media, same thing. We're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. Thank you. All at Mold Dog USA.
Awesome.
Find us.
Thank you so much. Yes. Check out Mold Dog USA, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, guys.
It's been great having you.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share it with a friend who might enjoy it too. You can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook at Slice of Lime to stay connected. And we would love to hear from you. Send us your questions or topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes. Don't forget to check out the link in our description to see our sponsors and partners. When you use our codes or links, you not only get a discount, but you also help support the podcast. If you'd like to support us directly, you can always buy us a coffee through the link as well. We are so grateful that you're here, and we'll see you in the next episode.